Hey, what up everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you today, and we're going to be doing our little road to payback video. Sorry, Pinko, I stole that right out of your script, but it does. It fits so well to go with this. My good buddy, HBK Fan 25 from YouTube and from Twitter, is one of my, I guess I got a couple friends. Team Rye is going to be going to this show. Payback to me, honestly, when you look at it over the whole card, doesn't look like it's going to stand up and deliver as a great pay-per-view, even though this is going to be a Chicago crowd. We all know that they're going to be heavy. Everybody's going to be thinking about, what their chants are going to be. It doesn't seem like it's as strong as it was that Raw right before WrestleMania, when everybody was, making their cue cards for what they were going to chant, and they were saying they were going to stand up and turn their back on the product when the authority came down to the ring to show their, distrust in the people that runs the show there, that let CM Punk take his ball and go home. Honestly, Payback's going to be a fun show for me to sit at home and watch on the WWE Network. I'm very glad that it's not one that I'm going to have to make the decision about whether if I'm going to buy the pay-per-view or if I'm just going to stream it or if I'm just really just not going to care about it. That's been a problem that I've had in the past. And, with WWE, stepping up to the plate with this awesome WWE Network is something that we don't have to worry about anymore. I'm really looking forward to a few of the matches that we're going to talk about tonight, and then some of the other ones are just sort of matches that are going to be on there. I guess we'll start off the road to Payback when the first video here talking about the kickoff. That's going to be I don't even know where you see this anymore, because if I was going to watch this, I would go to the WWE Network. I understand that the kickoff party, what it once was much like the free-for-all from back in the day, where, for 30 minutes before the show, it was WWE's last-ditch effort to try and get you to call in and order the pay-per-view. And they would give you some sort of a match or some sort of an angle. They used MTV's Sunday Night Heat to do this for a good little while. But last month at Extreme Rules, honestly, I think they did one of the best pre-shows that they've ever done. They gave us a match that on paper nobody really cared about, but because of the stipulation, because of the minis, it was one of the most talked about matches of the whole night. This is one of those things that really would have stood out during the pay-per-view era, with El Torito going up against Hornswoggle in a WLC match. I think so many people made a point of their day to get to their televisions and watch a half hour early to see this match. I mean, it really did step up and deliver more than anything else. We've seen the tag titles change hands with the Outlaws winning on the pre-show. We saw Cesaro win the United States Championship. We saw The Miz win the Intercontinental Championship. And of all of those things, I don't think anything mattered as much as this WLC match. I think that the way that it was played out, even though that most people didn't even really know what was going to happen once they got in there. Were these guys really going to fight with big ladders? Were they going to fight with step ladders? Were people going to go through tables? Was, El Matadors and three-man band going to be out there? Or were they just going to put the minis out there to do their own thing? The spots they did were spot on with, basically Hornswoggle pulling El Torito's tail, El Torito running around the ring, finally to duck under Jinder Mahal, and Hornswoggle run his head right into Jinder Mahal's nuts. Was awesome. There were bodies flying everywhere. The guys got in the ring and messed around with the minis just about enough to make you really care about the match. And I think, honestly, if there was we've seen DVDs come out on just about everything up and down, all the spectrum of wrestling. If there ever was to be a the best of the kickoff or the best of the pre-show DVD, WLC is definitely, earned a spot to where it's going to be there for years to come. In this match, honestly, I don't really care about it. I mean, there's no stipulation. It's just, well, I guess there is a stipulation, but I mean, it's one of those stipulations that's just basically pretty easy to see. El Torito is a new character. He's based around being a bull. Hornswoggle, he isn't a new look with the sort of grungy three-man band. I don't know if he's supposed to be the roadie or if he's another guy that plays guitar or if he's just like, their, pet or something like that. I'm not sure. But there's no way in hell that El Torito is going to be losing that mask. I'm pretty sure I've seen it for sale on WWE Shop. It's not something that I've been thinking about getting. I know with, I guess, Rey Mysterio not being around. I know with Sin Cara, he's around, losing to Bo Dallas, and he's not even the real Sin Cara that we've seen in the past. And, I'm not real sure. I've heard that, the stock on those guys as far as WWE Shop numbers has fallen. Rey Mysterio, we haven't seen him on TV since before WrestleMania. Sin Cara hasn't won a match, and God knows, I think Sin Cara beat Del Rio, didn't he? Didn't we see when Sin Cara came back and it was the debut of the new Sin Cara? Well, they didn't really play it up, but, people who knew. I think Sin Cara got a win over Del Rio on Raw, and it was a real big, shocking surprise. But I'm not sure. But there's no way in hell Torito's going to lose that mask. It's going to be fun seeing Hornswoggle kick and scream and have a bald head. This look has been good for him. Hopefully he'll stick around in three-man band. I'm not really sure what we'll see, but I'm sure it's going to be a whole lot of smoke and mirrors from these guys. El Torito is a character that I don't love, but I like. And when he does certain things, he makes me laugh, and it might be fun to see. We'll have to see. I'm not in a position where I'm going to be able to watch the kickoff party, but much like WLC, it was pretty easy to find in the pay-per-view section on the WWE Network, so I went out of my way, and I made sure that I watched it, and honestly, between me and you, it's a match that I have gone back and watched more than once, more than twice. It is fun. I had to watch it once with the commentary from the... Well, I was going to say Bryan and Vinny, but I guess the commentary was from Wrestling Observer Live. That was a fun show to watch. Always free to download. Go check it out. I think it sucks that, with their time period and trying to make sure that Wrestling Observer is always live, it's going to go up against the pre-show again. It sort of seems like you're not going to get the most out of your news with the show unless you're listening live in a Wrestling Observer Live, since it's mostly based on the internet. Isn't something that I'm able to get to live, but it really was fun. So, peace out. Well, it always sucks when I end these videos. I'm ending this video, but I'm just going into another. So if you're watching the full show preview, the next video is going to start in a second. All right, next match on the road to Payback is going up for the Divas Championship. Paige versus my girl Alicia Fox. Alicia Fox, I have love for you that you'll never know. You are by far my favorite diva on the roster. I think you are the hottest chick, basically, that ever hits my TV screen. And basically, when I met you, what was it, a year ago, at right before SummerSlam when we did the Doritos commercial, I never thought I would see you in a shot to win the Divas Championship again. I thought that Alicia Fox had pretty much been put out to pasture down for the count. Basically, at that point, she was just hosting the, what do they call it? The show that's on after Total Divas. Most of the time I check it out on YouTube. They just go over the greatest hits of the show. They normally have an interview with somebody who's on the show. And it's just like a reactions thing. You see a lot of other reality shows do this on the internet or on TV. Just sort of, to keep those viewers on that TV channel just for a few more minutes and get those revenue dollars pouring in. Alicia Fox is the #1 contender for the Divas Championship. I think that she really does deserve this. A lot of people are standing up, and everybody read the report that Triple H said that she needed to be rewarded for the work that she's done inside of the ring. Of course, everybody knows as being one of the top diva tag teams that go out there against the Bellas, that go out there against the Funkadactyls. Anybody who needs a match was having a tag team match against Alicia Fox and Oksana. It seems that team isn't going at it anymore. I was lucky enough to see them wrestle on 2 different house shows in, when was that? December and in February, I think, is when we went to Stockton and Oakland, and lucky for me, Alicia was on both of those shows. She is one of my favorites, but how she backed into becoming the #1 contender is one of the worst, ways to become the #1 contender I've ever seen in the history of wrestling. Basically, she came out there on Monday and she had a match on Raw against Paige, and she lost. And then she threw a temper tantrum, one that everyone talked about all over the internet. And basically made Alicia Fox a much bigger name that, she's been in a really, really long time. But then you brought her back for main event on the next night live on the network, and she loses to Emma. And then she has another flip out. You bring her back for her last chance to be on television before Payback, and you put her in a rematch against Emma. And she loses. Again. So let me get this straight. From Extreme Rules to Payback, she's been on TV 3 times, and she's lost 3 matches. What did she do to become the #1 contender? I have no clue. It's almost like when you look at what's going on over at NXT. NXT, they had Paige. They brought her up. They gave her the Divas Championship on the night she debuted. It makes sense. You have her debut. You don't want to have her on NXT to lose. There's not a huge number of crossover people that watch NXT and watch Raw and SmackDown. But for those people who do, you don't want to see Paige lose. I don't understand why you didn't want to have her go out there, maybe lose a match against Charlotte, an up-and-coming heel that they have down there. Maybe you do the whole cheat to win sort of thing. Well, that's Eddie Guerrero, and his daughter doesn't work there anymore. But, I'm talking about Ric Flair. Ric Flair, he'll cheat to win all day long, even though that's sort of Eddie's gimmick. But, then she can become a Divas Championship. Maybe they wanted to have a big push for this big pay-per-view that they're having, NXT TakeOver. Maybe that they thought the Divas Championship tournament would get them to the point. But the reason why Paige got stripped on NXT was because they said she became a WWE diva, and that due to her ongoing schedule, she wasn't going to be able to compete for NXT anymore. So they put together a tournament of girls to go after the NXT Divas Championship that consisted of Natalya and Alicia Fox, both members of the full-time roster, who must be 2 steps ahead of everyone in NXT and have so much free time that they're able to still compete on Raw and SmackDown and go to NXT and at the same time fulfill their Total Divas. Obviously, Natalya has more things to do with Total Divas than Alicia Fox does, but she does have her show that she does every night, but she wraps up after Total Divas on Sunday. I still need to go back and watch last week's episode. But I know that Paige is going to be booked as the next coming of Jesus to Divas wrestlers. It's been a while since we've had a true competitor that can go after the Divas Championship. We finally get Paige that's out there, and we haven't been able to get her rematch against AJ Lee because I guess the story at first is that she was injured and then she was taking time off after her big run as champion. Then it was, she's taking some time off to be with herself because she just got engaged, and now she's taking some more time off because she just got married. At the same time, you got to be wondering if her soon-to-be husband is, pushing her to stay home and, to start a life together, or if he's still saying, just because I'm at home doesn't mean you can't go out and follow your dreams and I'll be here on your days off. I don't know. It's weird. I really didn't think that when Michelle McCool hung it up to, be married to Undertaker, that Michelle McCool was really going to hang it up. I thought by now we would have seen her really just become a full-time wrestler again. It is what it is. But no doubt in my mind, Paige has got to get the win. It's only a matter of when we're finally going to get AJ back, if we ever get her to have that dream sort of matchup. I know that with Paige, more than likely she's going to run through all the heel girls, and maybe then we'll see some matches against like Paige versus Natalya and maybe Paige versus Naomi, and those will be good matches. But that's gonna be a little while. We've seen Paige, fight Oksana 1,000 times. We've seen her now fight Alicia Fox. From here, she'll probably fight Summer Rae. Is Eva a heel or is she a babyface on TV? I got no clue. But then she'll go to there, and hopefully she just doesn't get lost in the shuffle. Much like when a lot of guys win the World Heavyweight Championship for the first time, and they're like the first time rookie champion. WWE sort of like puts them on the back burner. It seems that Paige, hasn't been really featured in, big segments. But then again, a lot of people really don't know who she is. So maybe the future is out to see what the future for Paige is going to be. But I think before, during, and after Payback, Paige is still going to be the champion. Alicia Fox is still going to be the hottest chick on the roster. And she'll always have my heart. Alright, the next match here is going to be a good one. Every once in a while, you look at a match listing for a pay-per-view, and you just see one match, and you say, this might not be pretty, but this is a match that I want to see. It's not going to be match of the night. It's not going to be a 5-star battle that is talked about from, the next, 4 or 5 months, but it is going to be that one match, that night, that when the show ends, you're like, damn, those guys beat the hell out of each other. I'm talking about going back and seeing a match like two guys like the Warlord going up against Davey Boy Smith. Maybe another like the Warlord going up against Hercules Hernandez. Guys like that. Just really, really big dudes. I don't know why I'm in love with the Warlord tonight, but I've been loving going back and watching the old school shows on the WWE Network from that era, and the Warlord seems to be in a lot of matches back in the day. I have never seen a match between the Warlord and Hulk Hogan, but I am looking for one. I might have to go check out YouTube a little bit later. But we have Sheamus going up against Antonio Cesaro. And these guys, to me, honestly, coming in, are going to beat the holy hell out of each other. Every once in a while, Sheamus is the guy who steps up and has a really great match where he gets the shit kicked out of him that we remember for a real, real long time. Everyone's going to remember the strap match that he was in. I believe the strap match was against Del Rio. The chair match that he had against Big Show, where just the welts just welted up on his back, with his white skin. And I believe that put him out of action for a good little while. Cesaro and Sheamus have had a good little going back and forth for the last little while. Of course, it was a match on Main Event. Everyone had sort of thought that, Sheamus eliminating, Dean Ambrose out of the Battle Royal and winning the United States Championship was sort of like his heel turn. A lot of people were pushing him towards joining Evolution and replacing Big Dave in there. I think that still would have been a pretty big mistake, even though he is sort of like a champion now, and I don't really see a championship, meaning that, it's going to equal in it, meaning that Evolution is any better with him. It sort of kills the name, the stigma of the group, and just the gimmick that's built around them of just basically, I don't see Sheamus as a guy who goes out and goes to strip clubs and blows money left and right. And, that's what Evolution was when it was in its prime with Ric Flair and Triple H. They're going out, I'm going to, stay in the town and party, and I'll just fly in on a helicopter the next day. I see Sheamus as a guy who maybe goes out, drinks a couple of pints, maybe gets in a little fist fight out there in front of the bar, but, at the end of the night, he goes home and fights the good fight. I've seen him as a heel before. To me, I'm always going to remember him running away from the Nexus and yelling for John Cena to come help save the day. But every once in a while, he does step up. He's not one of my favorite guys, but every once in a while, you put two guys in there that want to beat the holy hell out of each other, you're going to get a good match. From here, we've seen these guys go at it. I believe it was on Main Event a few weeks ago. It was Sheamus. He's going to put the United States Championship up on the line against Cesaro. Cesaro, of course, having Paul Heyman. And, he won the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. He's on a pretty good push right now. I was sort of surprised. I thought maybe there was a chance that the title might change hands. Cesaro, of course, going on the upswing. They're going to want to push him, as far as they can before, some people say that he's going to get jealous at Paul Heyman, and then maybe, you know, Brock Lesnar will come back and they'll have a match, or maybe Cesaro will just go as far as he can as the big-time heel before he loses a match against a guy like John Cena in some sort of a, you know, they have a series of matches. Cesaro doesn't win in the end, but he looks better in the end because he just went through a whole series of matches against John Cena sort of deal. But basically, these guys got in the ring, and they just, you know, they started a fight that they couldn't find a finish to. They brawled all the way through the around the ring and outside. They took the count out, basically. And, you know, during all of this brawl, Cesaro used a steel chair on Sheamus. It didn't really faze him because he jumped up and gave the guy a brogue kick. We saw them battle on Monday Night Raw, and we saw that Cesaro had to cheat to win to beat Sheamus using the outside interference of Paul Heyman. And then you saw Cesaro come down and sort of not want to take the handshake, not want to take the respect of Sheamus. Sheamus, you know, decided, you know, to put the hand out there as saying, you know, they'd had some good matches, and Sheamus was saying that he, you know, respected his, you know, the fight that he brought to the ring. Cesaro, you know, played it off as not wanting to shake his hand, and then came down and kicked the shit out of him during a match with Alberto Del Rio, and just sort of left him laying, and then made fun of the fact that Sheamus wanted to shake his hand, almost saying that, like, that was his way of doing it. But I think at the pay-per-view, we're going to have a really good match. These guys want to beat the hell out of each other. Cesaro is a guy who's hungry. He wants all the attention on him because he wants to be moving up in the way of the world. Sheamus is United States Championship. As United States Champion. He really isn't a barn burner to me. I know that this belt really wasn't defended the whole time that it was in the Shield in the hands of Dean Ambrose, and it's nice to see this have a pay-per-view match. Since the last one I can remember was at SummerSlam between him and RVD in the pre-show. But in my mind, I really am thinking Cesaro is going to win the belt here. I think this is going to be a series of matches. I think that when you look at Payback as a whole, a lot of the big-time feuds are going to be ending. You know, whether if it's because guys are leaving, or just because they've had too many matches in a row, and just people aren't really going to care anymore. But Cesaro and Sheamus, to me, is going to be a war, and this is only part number one. I don't see this as a one-match sort of blow-off. I know that, you know, around the corner from here is going to be Money in the Bank, but these guys are going to want to beat the hell out of each other for a good little while, and I think Cesaro, even though his first United States Championship run, I think started out as a you know, a good, you know, thumbs up to him, but I think the way it ended, you know, basically, you know, he beating everyone that there was for him to beat on his level, and then trying to elevate other people with him taking DQs, him just flat out losing in non-title matches. It just sort of made you, like, just sort of on the whole thing of him being United States Champion. I think that when he was coming out, when he had the big, huge, giant American flag, and, you know, he was, you know, having the series of matches with The Miz, he was at his best, and then it just sort of went downhill from there. In this match, I'm going to pick Cesaro to get the win. Sheamus, as always, is going to have a good match, just beating the hell out of each other. I don't know why I always sort of say Sheamus has a good match. I don't really like the dude that much, but it's going to be fun. I definitely think this is the one I'm going to have my most eyes on, that I really want to see, because I think that it is just going to be boom, just fist on fist action, and seeing who's going to be able to up the other guy and walk out of there as United States Champion. This next match on the card is just a match to me. I mean, this match really just does not appeal to me at all whatsoever. You have Rob Van Dam going up against Wade Barrett for the Intercontinental Championship. And I know that these guys have had a few matches here and there, and basically both of, you know, put it themselves into the Intercontinental Championship picture, seeing how Wade Barrett beat Biggie Langston. And in order to do that, he had to win the, I guess you can say, Gold Rush tournament to become the #1 contender. And in the finals, he beat Rob Van Dam. And the way that Wade Barrett won that match with Van Dam was sort of under, some weird situation with Cesaro and Swagger on the outside of there, and basically because of that put Rob Van Dam into the triangle match with Swagger and Cesaro at last month's pay-per-view. Wade Barrett, of course, went on to beat Biggie Langston, and because of the Beat the Clock challenge, Rob Van Dam has ended up becoming the #1 contender for the Intercontinental Championship a month later. I know that we've seen Wade Barrett sneak up and attack Rob Van Dam and try to get the upper number on this. But to me, just honestly, it's not that I don't have the highest hopes for this match. It just seems that it's just a match on the show. And even though the Intercontinental Championship's involved in there, I can hope that Wade Barrett gets the win. I know that you want to make Rob Van Dam look like he's a big deal. Last month, he just seemed like he just got added to that match for no reason. It should have been Cesaro versus Swagger to see who was the better guy in the All-Americans, with basically Zeb on the outside. I know that Cesaro had already dumped Zeb, but how many times do you see a tag team go out there? They have the manager on the outside. The manager has to become the deciding factor of that match. Rob Van Dam coming out there with Paul Heyman and Zeb out there, and basically him not having a manager didn't add anything to the match at all. I know it ended up becoming an elimination match. Swagger got dumped early, and then it just turned into basically a Rob Van Dam ECW style of match. There was I can't remember. Something got thrown into the ring. I can't remember if it was the ladder. Can't remember if it was a chair. Basically just being left over from the WLC match out there. But I don't know. To me, when Van Dam came back last time, it seemed special. And then by the time, they used him up and he was having matches against Alberto Del Rio, it just was like, I completely understood why he took off. And I know that they didn't use Rob Van Dam for the WrestleMania, push to get him into Mania. They brought him back the night after a return that I was there live in the building, and I didn't even remember it being a big deal when I got home. It just sort of seemed like Van Dam's always just sort of around. But I don't know. Is Van Dam going to win the Intercontinental Championship for a 7th time? I don't think so. Is Wade Barrett going to probably knock this dude out with the bullhammer right there in the middle of the ring and pin him? That's my bet. I can't really think of anything else to really say about this match. I'm hoping that the Bad News Barrett character catches on. I've been a real big fan of Wade Barrett since the days of Nexus and 2010. I don't know why he hasn't become a World Heavyweight Champion or a WWE Champion yet. I understand why he's not now, because of what SmackDown did to him in 2011 and 2012. And 2013, they were all pretty bad years for Wade, but I'm hoping that he's moving his way up. I know I really stood up for him at the WrestleMania 29 when he was in the pre-show match against The Miz, saying both of these guys are the future of the WWE, and to not find a way to put them on the main card was kind of a stab in the back. I'm glad that he's Intercontinental Champion. I hope, much like how I picked Cesaro to win the United States Championship, I'm hoping that this second run is going to be much better than their first one. Well, shit. This is Barrett's 3rd run as Intercontinental Champion, I'm pretty sure. So, it is what it is. And we'll go to the next match. The next match, the last man standing match of John Cena against Bray Wyatt. This is a feud that must end. I know that with the upcoming Money in the Bank pay-per-view, more than likely we'll see both of these guys chasing after the magical briefcase hanging above the ring. I can only hope that this is not a 4-match series. Going into WrestleMania, people had a whole bunch of hopes for this matchup. People were thinking that John Cena would not be able to overcome and lose to Bray Wyatt, and that would push Bray Wyatt to the next huge superstardom of becoming the biggest wrestler there is in wrestling today. Basically, Bray Wyatt lost the match, and it was just like I thought it would be. I thought if Super Cena showed up with his big Super Cena cape and won because it was WrestleMania, basically no one was going to care about this anymore. They went in and they had a horrible match at Extreme Rules. Using a steel cage match where basically, you know, John Cena's big tactic was to try to get outside of the cage and him not trying to do anything he can do to win that match, just threw it away from me. And people that are saying that I'm saying that Cena did not try to win, I'm saying that John Cena climbed up over the top of the cage, and because of the one fact that Luke Harper was on the outside with a steel chair, I apologize, it was Eric Rowan was outside with a steel chair, Cena climbed back over the cage and jumped in. When everything basically in wrestling, you know, knowledge says that if somebody jumps from the top of the cage, they're going to knock the person down. We've seen guys go to the top rope, jump out of the ring into a sea of 9, 10 guys, and all of them fall down, whatever happens. Cena could have easily dropped down, got on Rowan, not got hit by the chair, won the match, and overcome all that is wrong in the WWE with the Wyatt family, brainwashing the kids. But instead, the match ends basically with the lights going out after the Wyatt music, and then a John Cena fan in a sheep mask singing "He's Got the Whole World in His Hands," to the fact that John Cena can't go out of the cage because he's so shocked at what he's seen, and he walks right into the Sister Abigail for the 1, 2, 3. It was a very sort of different ending, one that I've never seen before, and going into the last man standing match, we're not going to see a crappy ending like that. Seeing how most last men standing matches end with some sort of a gimmick, it's going to be a gamble to see what they do to it. If you do not know what a last man standing match is, basically, there are no pinfalls, there are no submissions, no countouts or disqualifications. It's just beat the other guy up for as long as possible, and once you stop beating him up, he has to be able to not answer the 10 count from the referee, much like it would be like in a boxing match where they're just throwing lefts and rights, just boom, 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 and if the guy goes down, then the little Mario guy comes out there like he's counting Little Mac down after basically Mike Tyson just super KO'd him. Just like that. I don't know. It's not like John Cena's never lost one of these matches, but we all know that John Cena, the hustle, the loyalty, and the respect is never going to take one of these and just sort of lose on his own. You know, there's lots of other guys that can just sort of take somebody's finisher and be down for the count, but John Cena is going to have to be ran over with a semi-truck full of Wyatt fans in order to not be able to answer that 10 count in my mind. I know that he is 3-2, and we have gone over those matches in other videos, mostly seeing how, you know, he lost to Edge because of Big Show, and he lost to Alberto Del Rio because of Miz and R-Truth a few years ago. So, you know, it's not that hard. If Miz and R-Truth are able to make John Cena lose one of these matches, Eric Rowan and Luke Harper are going to have a big part in this match. And I know that, you know, we've seen John Cena have his boys, the Usos, coming out with him on Monday Night Raw the last few weeks. But I'm hoping that that's just not going to be enough to even out the score here. More than likely, how I'm praying, please let this be the last match in this series of matches. Let them go in a different direction. I know that when this comes down, I know that WWE hopefully is going to have a big moment for the end of this, to where basically Cena says, I'm going to go fight this other guy, and Bray says, I'm going to go fight this other guy, and knowing how, you know, Cena's going to be around forever, Bray Wyatt is new to the scene. He seems to be a guy who's going to catch on. I don't know if he's going to be the new Undertaker, or if he's going to be the new Kane, or if he's going to be that kind of a role, but it seems to me that, you know, he's going to be a guy that's going to be in the future. This is not going to be the last matchup of John Cena versus Bray Wyatt. More than likely, we'll never see them swap roles. How you see a lot of guys, how they have babyface versus heel matches, and then the next time you see them wrestle a year later down the road, you know, they've switched roles to where one's the heel now and the other one's the babyface. But I don't know. I want to pick Bray to win this match because I want the best for Bray. But then again, I knew if he didn't win at WrestleMania, it was just going to be all downhill from there. Where the Wyatts go from here after stepping up to the plate to the biggest superstar in WWE and not being able to deliver, winning the series of matches, I got no clue. But I'm only hoping those writers are in their corners, because they are some of the most intriguing and the most sort of stand-out characters there are on WWE TV today. I know we've seen guys come and go, but I'm hoping the Wyatts are a big part of the future. That's why I'm hoping that Bray Wyatt is going to get the win at Payback against John Cena in the Last Man Standing match. Alright, Daniel Bryan going into WWE Payback is going to have one hell of a decision on his mind. We've seen this play out where basically WWE said that Daniel Bryan had to have surgery and that a decision was going to be made on Monday. On Monday, that decision was made with Daniel Bryan telling Stephanie McMahon, no, no, no. He was not going to be giving up the WWE Championship. He'd worked too hard to get what was his. And even though he wasn't going to be able to defend it, he was going to hold on to it, and he was going to keep it on his own. Stephanie McMahon she is not the lady you want to be telling no to, no matter what is going on in the situation. Stephanie McMahon, whatever she wants, has always been handed to her, from Vince, from Linda, from the servants, from Triple H, from Pepe the Poodle. I hope that was the damn dog's name. Anybody remember the lead up to WrestleMania 18 when they were getting divorced? What the hell was the name of the damn dog? I think it was Pepe. And then I was like, what the fuck is Triple H doing with the dog named Pepe in the first place? Maybe it was Fifi. Triple H ain't having no poodle. I can tell you that. I think that damn dog got ran over. I'm remembering a lot of wrestling's bad moments right now. And I'm trying to talk about Daniel Bryan telling Stephanie McMahon no. Stephanie McMahon stepped up to the plate and she knocked her own home run. Basically, trying to make sure the WWE Championship was going to be in some sort of play at Payback. She gave Daniel Bryan one last chance to change his mind about handing over the championship. Basically, she said he had until Payback to make up his mind, and that if he didn't hand over that championship, some things were going to start happening to Daniel Bryan. Like maybe his wife, Brie, would lose her job. She would be fired, as the McMahons like to put it. Basically, Daniel Bryan went into the Raw post-show, whatever it's called, the Raw wrap-up, or whatever they call it, I can't remember, after the bell, it's something like that, and basically had an interview with Renee Young and said that maybe he was going to have to step up to the plate and give Stephanie McMahon the championship because the right thing had to be done. Daniel Bryan has accomplished what a lot of wrestlers who come into the WWE, hell, would get into independent wrestling rings, have always wanted to do. No one sitting at home saying, I want to be a pro wrestler, and I want to be, I'll mention him for the second time on the road to Payback, the Brooklyn Brawler. Nobody wants to be the guy who just shows up and loses every match. Everyone says, I want to be Hulk Hogan. I want to be Stone Cold Steve Austin. I want to be The Rock. I want to be Daniel Bryan. I want to be the champion. I want to be the guy on the ticket that everyone is paying to see. Whether if you want to see this person win, if you want to see this person lose, I am the reason why pay-per-view buy rates go up, why they go down, and why everything is based around me. Daniel Bryan won the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania 30. Hell, even just take the 30 away. You know, the way they book WrestleMania, the way they plan it out is to have every WrestleMania better than the last one. Where they always raise the bar. Sometimes they fall on their face. Sometimes they step up to the plate and they knock one out of the park. In my mind, WrestleMania 30 was one of the best wrestling trips that I had ever been on. Watching the show, it was probably one of the best WrestleMania shows that I've ever seen. Not only live, but in person. I have not been able to check out the Blu-ray. I have not been able to watch this back. I've only seen certain moments on YouTube. I haven't really seen the full HD experience to see how this really plays back and how it's going to hold up over time. WrestleMania 26, as of right now, is my favorite WrestleMania. It's the one that I pop in the most. There's a lot of sentimental reasons, but to a lot of people out there, WrestleMania 30 was one of the best WrestleManias of all time. And Daniel Bryan not only opened the show by beating Triple H, the chairman of it, well, he's not the chairman, whatever the fuck his name is, the CFO, CEO, whatever they're calling him these days. He beat the game. My favorite wrestler of all time. I know that Triple H doesn't have the best record at WrestleMania, but every time that he's put somebody over at WrestleMania, it's gone on to bigger and better things for those people. He knows that, you know, people like to say that he politicked his way up into the position he's in, that he wouldn't have it if it wasn't for Stephanie McMahon. But basically, Triple H, honestly, is one of the best wrestlers that there's ever been in WWE. He puts together some of the best matches. For the longest period of time, he was the reason why I was ordering pay-per-views, knowing I was going to get my money's worth out of it. Triple H is the man. Daniel Bryan beat him, and then only went on to beat his two guys in Batista and Randy Orton to become the World Heavyweight Champion. He did what everyone said couldn't be done. He achieved his dream, but on the same time, he came into wrestling and he fell in love with Brie Bella. Nobody gets into wrestling not wanting to become the champion, like I said. Brie Bella has been the Divas Champion. She's on the roster. She has a huge show in Total Divas, following her around 24 hours a day, putting together the best hour-long TV they can for E! Entertainment. If she was to lose her job, no, put the fucking quotes up there. I know you're not idiots. She's not going to lose her job. She might get fired, but she'll still be on Total Divas. She'll still be in the WWE. She'll pop back up somewhere along the way. But, you know, if she was to lose her job, Daniel Bryan, I'll put the whole fucking video. I'll just keep doing the damn quotes, because the whole thing's in kayfabe. Daniel Bryan, as a man, as a husband, as his character, cannot take his dream away from his wife. I am going to hate it. I know you guys have read the rumors as well as I've read the rumors, whether Money in the Bank is not going to be the Money in the Bank briefcase and they're just going to hang the fucking title up there and have a 6-way ladder match. That's fucking retarded. That's not Money in the Bank. I know that you can save it and you put your 6 best competitors in the Money in the Bank match, and then you put 6 of the top mid-carders and actually have a Money in the Bank briefcase, and maybe that'll save it. Then you have 2 matches, you have 12 guys, you're fucked on the rest of your undercard. But that's just me. But Daniel Bryan, to me, I don't know if maybe you turn Brie against him. I think that wrestling, you know, marriages have done horribly when they've been used in angles. Deborah McMichael and Stephen McMichael ended up in divorce. When you look at Chris Benoit, Woman, and Kevin Sullivan and the love triangle that played out in WCW, Sullivan pretty much booked his own divorce by trying to make it so kayfabe that Woman was always hanging out with Benoit that they really fell in love and they ended up getting married, and we all knows where that went from there. But, you know, Deborah McMichael and Stone Cold Steve Austin, I know that when they broke up and they got their divorce, they weren't on TV anymore, but you can sort of throw them in there. Almost like everyone that's ever had an MTV reality show has ended up getting divorced based off of that, from starting with Jessica Simpson and Nick Lachey and all of them. I did not think that I would ever be mentioning Nick Lachey in a wrestling match, or in a wrestling video, even though I used to love that show. Don't tell nobody. Shh. I loved it. Newlyweds was awesome. I have it on DVD. Don't tell nobody about that either. But basically, I think that Daniel Bryan is going to wuss out. I think that he's not going to want to take his women's dream away. I think that he is going to go in there. He is going to hand over the championship. I think that some tears will be cried. And I think it sucks. But basically with his neck surgery, I don't think he's going to be back as soon as they want him to be back. And I think that they're going to try and find a new interim champion. And then hopefully Daniel Bryan will come back from his neck surgery, be 100%. Become the #1 contender and win the title again. And then you're going to hope that maybe what would be his 4th reign as WWE Championship will be that good to support the other 3 that he's had in the past. To me, WrestleMania 30 will always be capped off with the memory of Daniel Bryan winning the championship. Never have I ever gone to his show to see one thing as to see Daniel Bryan beat Triple H and to see Daniel Bryan beat Orton and Batista to become the championship. I know that I went to SummerSlam. I was really hoping to see Bryan beat Cena. I went to the Rumble last year, really hoping to see The Rock win the championship. But never have I ever been able to hang a whole trip somewhere on one event happening in a wrestling show to save that. If that didn't happen, I still would have had a ton of fun on that trip. I know that it was a big-time bummer for a lot of people that Undertaker lost at WrestleMania. If Daniel Bryan wouldn't have been able to get it done, and maybe Batista walked out as the champion, I know there was a lot of close falls in there where a lot of people thought Batista was really going to win the championship there. I fell for almost all of them. But WrestleMania as a show would not have stood up if it wasn't for Daniel Bryan. It is a special time and place. I think that's the one reason why he's been the champion so long, as they try to figure out what's going on with him in the neck. But it just sucks. Shitty things happen to good people all the time. And Daniel Bryan being forced in this situation to have neck surgery while on his run as his first real run as WWE champion sucks. We're going to hope we get the train back on the tracks. Maybe Bryan's going to go in there. Maybe he's going to, doing the flying goat and hitting Stephanie McMahon right there in the middle of the ring with a diving headbutt. I'm not sure. But I really see him sort of having a cry moment, handing the belt over, getting better, and coming back as soon as he can to win the WWE Championship one more time. Alright, in the main event we have The Shield going up against... Alright, and in the main event we have The Shield going up against Evolution. This one is a no-hold-barred elimination match. Basically, it's going to be these 6 guys going in there, and every time there's a pinfall, basically this is an old-school Survivor Series match, where basically one guy is going to have to go to the back after he's been eliminated, making the other team have a big-time advantage in this match. Basically, I don't know. I think that The Shield and Evolution had one hell of a match at Extreme Rules. That's going to be one hell of a match to try and live up to and do it. If anybody's out there, it's these 6 guys. Basically, you have 3 veterans who know what has to be done to control the crowd. And then you have 3 young, I don't want to call them rookies because they've been in the WWE for a good long little time. But basically, you got 3 guys that will do anything to try and get every fan in there to notice them and sort of push them up the card even more. There's nobody that I can think of that has came in as a team or as a duo making their debuts in the WWE that have ever made an impact like The Shield. We've seen these guys sort of be, CM Punk's lackeys, and I don't even really remember how that whole thing, played out. I remember, them having to say that they weren't involved or, taking any handouts from Heyman or Punk, and then I think it was Brad Maddox that sort of let that leak, that they really were on the same team, and then they sort of got told that they weren't allowed to be a team anymore, and then they just kept on just having matches, and they always really came up, and they always really delivered. And here they are, over a year later, standing in their first, main event of a pay-per-view, and this is going to be a good match. From here, I don't know where they go from. I know that The Shield has really been elevated to a place they've never really been before, and I've been really talking about it for a long time, since the rumors were out before WrestleMania. Basically, The Shield is going to break up sooner than later. And I think this is the point where The Shield is at their peak, where there is nowhere else to go from here. When you were watching the contract signing, I know that a lot of people saw the war that broke out after that, with basically the big, triple team Batista bomb with Roman Reigns going through the table, Seth Rollins taking the RKO from Randy Orton. The one thing that I really focus on is when, Triple H handed over the contract and said, make sure that when you sign this, you really mean it, because this is going to be a fight and this is going down. Basically, Evolution just really felt embarrassed. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins grabbed the contract and signed it as fast as they could. When Dean Ambrose got the pen, he fumbled with it. And I don't know if that was him fumbling with it because he didn't believe in what the Shield was going to be able to do, if they were going to do it, or if he just had second thoughts, or maybe he just dropped the pen and maybe I'm just seeing too much into it. But this is going to be a war. Evolution, these guys have been champions over and over and over, with all of them having big WrestleMania moments, and You know, they're not going to let these young punks embarrass them. I don't know if basically it's going to end up in some sort of a situation where Seth Rollins, or not Seth Rollins, I apologize, Dean Ambrose gets eliminated early in this match. Seth Rollins puts up a good fight and he gets eliminated also. Then we end up with a 3-on-1 situation. Maybe Ambrose comes back down to sort of shock the world by screwing Roman Reigns. Something that we've seen him try to do in the past around Elimination Chamber and Royal Rumble time. We saw, him try and eliminate Roman, which ended up having Roman have a flip-out moment where he just eliminated everybody out of the ring because his own, flesh and blood, his brother in black, the Shield, tried to eliminate him, tried to take him out because he wanted to be the leader of the Shield. Everybody can remember the promo with the Shield where, they were getting picked apart because, CM Punk was saying, "Are you the leader? Are you the leader?" And everybody was stepping up and saying, "I'm the man." Nobody wanted to say that, they were a physical group. No one piece is better than the other. You put them out there and the results are always going to be the same. But I really do see Evolution picking up the win in here. I don't think that Dean Ambrose is going to join Evolution. I think it's going to be more of a shocking situation on where we go from here. I know people might be overreacting to the WWE, magazine that just got published and just got put on newsstands most places today in the question and answer section where you can write in and answer and ask wrestlers questions, and they're published. Dean Ambrose did call Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins his former partners. You would think that WWE Magazine, even though that it isn't the most kayfabe publications, especially with the Q&A session with the wrestlers, really wouldn't put that in there and would have enough sense to either edit that part out or just not, use that question and answer for that part. I'm not sure if maybe they're playing on us, trying to think that, we're thinking that the breakup with the Shield is happening. I'm only thinking that there's only so many three-man group in there. We've seen the Shield battle the Wyatts over and over again. We've seen the Shield battle Evolution twice. We've seen the Shield battle three-man band when they first came in, and they're not really on the same plane anymore. So I'm not really thinking that we're going to see them go up against another three-man group. There's no three dudes hanging around that really have a problem with the Shield right now that I can think of. So there's nothing really else for them to accomplish as a team. And if Roman Reigns was to go off and start his own singles run now, I know a lot of people have him facing maybe Triple H come, SummerSlam. I haven't heard that rumor in a little bit, but it is one that's been used in the past. What do you do with Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose? I mean, they're not just going to be guys standing in his corner just saying, "Come on, Roman, let's get it done." He's going to need to step up, and they're going to have to find their own place. Dean Ambrose is a guy that I think a lot of people think is going to be a future WWE champion. Seth Rollins is the guy that I really think is going to be there too, but I think he's got a lot of question marks on him. So many guys have come in with his physique and sort of, questionable storyline or questionable character, I guess you can say. We don't know really what these guys are going to be on their own. I know we've all seen them in NXT footage, but we don't really know if they've evolved away from that or if they're just going to throw these guys in trunks again and say, go out there and start fresh and try to get over. It's going to be weird. It's going to be different, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to bag on it right out of the gate, but teams can't stay teams forever. Tag teams only last so long. Factions normally last shorter than that. I don't know if it's the tag team or a faction, but I would put them in the faction category. Evolution versus the Shield is going to be a great match. No holds barred means they're going to be able to hit each other with everything. The Shield is trying to fight back because they've been put in situations where they've been outnumbered, whether if it was Dean Ambrose losing his United States title in the 20-man Battle Royal, or if it was the tag match that they got put in, the 3-on-3 against the Wyatts, but ended up being a 6-on-1 affair with Evolution coming down to whoop their ass. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a good day for the Shield. I think it'd be a great way to end with the big question mark, everybody going into Raw to see what is going to go on with the Shield. But, this is their first main event. They did get the big win at WrestleMania, and I said that would have been a great moment for them to go on from and leave as a bookend as a way to say, wow, look what they did. 2 wins at WrestleMania as a team. Who knows? Maybe one day these guys will all be baby faces and we can see some sort of a reunion where they have 3 guys that they fight on Raw and maybe some main events, or maybe you put them in some sort of Survivor Series somewhere down the road. It's some sort of a thumbs up, wink wink to the fans about a Shield reunion for one night. But I don't know. It's time. Let's see what these guys can do on their own. We've seen them as a team for so long. It might be time for the Shield really to break it up and just get it over with. The Hounds of Justice one more time, going up against Evolution, the King of Kings, the Viper, and the Animal, which might be Dave Bautista's farewell song for a good little run in WWE. It was the first part. I think he got a WrestleMania main event. He got a Royal Rumble win, but I would still kind of call it he just came at the wrong time. It wasn't what the people wanted to see. But this might be his last match for a good little while while he goes out and promotes his little Marvel Comics movie, because the WWE money isn't as good as the Hollywood money. So we'll see how a big star he can be. Hopefully he has a big return and he comes back, even if he wants to. A lot of stuff going on out there about Batista. We'll have to see. Peace out, everybody. Have a good one. Enjoy your show, WWE Network. We'll be back with more videos and more highlights and reviews. Peace out.